Hello and welcome to Telegraph Studio and Business Reporter's Performance Improvement Campaign, hosted by the Telegraph Online. I'm Alistair Greener. Organisations try their best to protect staff from incidents, but protective gear, best practices, training and investment in safer production and operations can't always be enough, as human failure can often override all of our efforts. So, can human performance be managed? How can we investigate and learn from these incidents? To explore our opportunities, we're joined today by David Ramsay, Managing Director and Founder of Kelvin TOP-SET. Good morning.
Hello, Alistair.
Why do we have incidents?
Well, incidents happen all the time. We've only got to look at the Telegraph this morning and take some item out of that. And it's because people, we all do it, make mistakes, they have errors, slips, trips and falls, and things go wrong. It's the human factor.
So this human factor, can you give us an example of what we're talking about?
Yes, I'm going to use the example of the tram crash a few weeks ago in Croydon. Now, we weren't involved in the investigation, but if you look at that, the human factors were, first of all, it seems that the driver was going too fast. But there are other factors behind that, the design of the track, the design of the signalling, and perhaps the training of the driver, and what steps could you put in place. All of these are human factors. Not a single human factor, but several that would be involved in that incident.
Now, I've read this term organisational rust. What do you mean by that?
Well, I'm very pleased you mentioned that, because it's a term that I coined quite a number of years ago. If you think of real rust, that rust on steel or iron or such like, it goes on, we hardly notice it happening. In fact, it's quite well advanced before we see something has gone wrong. Exactly the same in an organisation. Telegraph, my organisation, any organisation you care to think of, there are little things going wrong as we're standing speaking just now. So it's finding what those are, that's a hard thing, and then doing something about that before they become an incident.
Okay, let's talk about your company and what you bring to the table. Are you essentially helping organisations prevent an incident, or are you managing the damage?
Well, we're really in the prevention business. In fact, we do three things at the company. The largest thing we do is to teach people all around the world how to investigate incidents. We also lead investigations ourselves, and we produce software for the same purpose. So it's that area of teaching people to find out what could potentially go wrong in their organisation, much more than looking at it after it's happened. And then by doing that, then people prevent, serious things happening in the future.
Let's say I'm an organisation, I'm buying into what you're suggesting here, and I want to come and work with you. Talk me through the process. What's actually going to happen?
Well, we would agree with the organisation how many people would be appropriate to train and at what level in the organisation. It's almost a little bit like a pyramid. So you've got someone at the senior level, and they would be in charge of a number of investigators. You don't necessarily need to have a lot of investigators in an organisation, but you choose those people who've got the intellectual ability to go through and solve problems. It's really quite good fun. Even when it's very serious, it's quite good fun because it's an intellectual process of finding out what's gone wrong. And we provide them with a framework. That's what TOP-SET is about. It's a framework for helping people to investigate.
Once you have these investigations complete, you'll have an analysis. So what do you do with that analysis, or how do you use that analysis so you can prevent incidents happening in the future?
Well, what we would do when we've got that analysis, we would go back and talk to the team leaders, the organisational heads, and say, well, look, these things are the things that we've found that have caused this incident. So how are we going to resolve this in the future? Let's agree recommendations, or what we would call smart actions, to avoid it happening in the future. So we'd put those in place. The company would then audit and monitor those to ensure these things don't happen again.
Now, I've heard this term root cause analysis. Again, perhaps you could explain that to me.
Yeah, really, I'm glad you mentioned that, because it's widely misunderstood across all industries. Root cause analysis really is self-explanatory. It's the last step. When you've found things wrong, you've gone right through them, the last point is that the point where it all started. So that's the root of the problem, the seed of it, where it actually started. And the problem is, of course, companies say to us, we want you to do a root cause analysis. And we say, no, you don't, because that's just why. You need to do an investigation first. So, for example, if you go to a doctor, Alistair, you'll be hoping that the doctor has done a full examination and he's interpreted that before he gets to just doing the root cause analysis and saying, well, Alistair, this is what I found wrong, and these are the things I recommend you to do for the future.
We've certainly given us a lot of clarity when it comes to incident prevention, and it's been fascinating finding out more. David Ramsay from Kelvin TOP-SET, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Alistair.